Let's start by giving our praises to the Most High, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and apostles and the Holy Spirit, who taught us his truth. Honors to the brethren that's laboring, doing the work to push the gospel, risking their life and freedom to do so. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which would be 1/3 of us Israelites, according to the scriptures, who would be the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who would be seeking their salvation by returning back to the Most High, who are now hearing and believing his word, so that he will have mercy on us in judgment. So we're back with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be titled The Great Multitude. And I may add something else added. So the great multitude, etc., etc. Hey, with this lesson, we're going to show who the great multitude is, which would be the enemies of Israel, which our people don't know that they got enemies, but they're going to soon find out. And when you read the scriptures, our enemies has always come up against us, because of constitutional rights and laws and so-called equality. Everybody got to somewhat tolerate each other, even though they may still hate each other. So we're going to hit this in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, being idle, and feed you with things offered unto idols. So the burning wrath of a great multitude. And we going to get who this great multitude is, which those of us who are study already know. It's Esau and the other nations, but we just going to show that with the scriptures, for the young believers. It says they shall take away certain of you. How they going to take, who is the certain of us that they trying to take away? Well, they after Israel. But more specifically, the certain of you would be us who keep the commandments of the Most High and got the testimony of Yahweh Shai. And when are they going to come take us away? Being idle. Being idle means not moving. Meaning what? The cities are going to be locked down under a military lockdown known as martial law. So the time coming when they lock everything down, that's where they're going to try to take away certain of us, those of us that's in this truth. And it says, and feed you, what they're going to feed into your body. The RFID microchip in the right hand and the Neuralink brain chip that go in the forehead, the region around the brain. But yeah, a great multitude is going to come after us to try to do away with us. And we're going to also go to the book of Revelation 12 and 12. But key word, this burning wrath of a great multitude. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So the devil, who is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is coming with great wrath. But guess what? The devil, Esau the white man, ain't coming alone. He bringing everybody with him. So again, the devil coming down having great wrath. And this devil, is Esau and everybody that's coming with him. That's that same great multitude that's coming with this burning wrath to do away with Israel. So now we're going to hit 2nd Maccabees chapter 8, verse 12. And the history about the Maccabees, that was the remnant of our people that fought for their lives to keep the laws of the Most High. Yeah, they fought for their lives to keep the laws of the Most High. And you had, wicked Israelites, Esau, Edom, the white man, who were calling themselves Greeks at the times, and the other nations who continuously came up against our people. The remnant who kept the law back then. Well, guess what? We that same remnant today, fighting for our lives to keep the laws and the testimony of Yahushua. Now, when word was brought unto Judas of Nicanor's coming, he had imparted unto those that were with him that the army was at hand. So, Judas had a band of other brothers who was fighting for the same cause and warned them like, yo, Nicanor and his army is coming. They that were fearful and distrusted the justice of God fled and conveyed themselves away. So those who lacked faith, they fled. Others sold all that they had left, and withal besought the Lord to deliver them. So by the wicked Nicanor, before they met together. All right, so we get into the point. And if it not for their own sakes, yet for the covenants he had made with their fathers, and for his holy, glorious name's sake, by which they were called. So they, fought for righteousness, which we do today. So Maccabeus called his men together unto the number of 6,000, and exhorted them, meaning encouraged them, not to be stricken with terror of the enemy, nor to fear the great multitude of the heathen. So remember, 2 Ezra 16-68, behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. Remember, the devil is coming down unto you, having great wrath. Well, who is this great multitude? Who is this devil? It's the great multitude of the heathen. Everybody outside of the nation of Israel, including wicked Israelites, who's going to sell out for this devil. All right. So he encouraged them not to be stricken with the terror of the enemy, nor the fear of the great multitude of the heathen who came wrongfully against them, but to fight manfully. So they're going to come wrongfully against us again. To do what? To take away certain of us that keep the laws and who has the testimony of Yahushua. Those of us in this truth right now. And we're gonna have to stand manfully before them. And it begins now with this word. Those who out there in great boldness. Those are the believers, who made their body a living sacrifice, mortified the flesh to live for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. But again, this great multitude of the heathen came against us wrongfully back then, and they're going to do it now. These other nations, the heathen, been our enemies and always will be. And what? Esau is gathering that great multitude again right now. That's why you see a massive influx of foreign troops crossing the border. Not just the southern border, but also the Canadian border. They coming through there as well. And not to mention, that's why Esau, got the most diverse military in the earth. They recruit people from all nations. And Esau been doing that since the time of the Greeks. The people that he would conquer and put in subjection, he'll make them fight his battles and fight in his military. So yeah, even now, we know the enemy is coming. So what? Don't be stricken with fear, for the great multitude of the heathen. So now we're going to hit 2 Maccabees chapter 10, verse 24. Now Timotheus, whom the Jews had overcome before, when he had gathered a great multitude of foreign forces. So that great multitude is of the heathen. It's foreign forces. It's what? Esau and his military and all nations of people that's joined unto him. That's gonna come and fight against us. All right, when he gathered a great multitude of foreign forces and horses out of Asia, not a few, came as though he would take Jewry by force of arms, armed forces, a military. But when he drew near, they that were with Maccabeus turned themselves to pray unto God, and sprinkled earth upon their heads, and girded their loins with sackcloth, and fell down at the foot of the altar, and besought him to be merciful unto them, and to be an enemy to their enemies, and an adversary to their adversaries, as the law declareth. I believe that's Exodus 23:22. So after the prayer, they took their weapons and went on farther from the city. And when they drew near to their enemies, they kept by themselves. Now, when the sun being newly risen, they joined both together, the one part having together with their virtue, their refuge, also unto the Lord for a pledge of their success and victory. And the other side making their rage leader of their battle. And coming to the point. But when the battle waxed strong, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men upon horses, and bridles of gold, and 2 of them led the Jews. So again, when the battle got difficult for Maccabees, and in the remnant of our people that kept the laws, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men upon horses. So there appeared angels, on them chariots, and they led the Jews in the battle, and took Maccabeus betwixt them, and covered him on every side, weapons, and kept him safe, but shot arrows and lightnings against the enemies, so that being confounded with blindness and full of trouble, they were killed. And there were slain of footmen 20,500 and 600 horsemen. So again, 25,000, 2,500 men were killed, and 600 horsemen were killed. But that was what? The forces of arms, the armed forces of this great multitude of foreign forces, the heathen nations and the wicked of Israel, who came up against those who kept the commandments and had the testimony of Yahweh Shah. So now we're going to go to the book of Revelation 12 and 17. And the dragon, who's going to come down with great wrath, that great multitude who has burning wrath. The dragon was wroth with the woman, who is this woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahweh Shah. So yeah, they're going to make war with certain of us who keep the commandments and got this testimony. That's why going back to 2 Maccabees chapter 10, verse 24. Again, now Timotheus, whom the Jews had overcome before, when he had gathered a great multitude of foreign forces and horses out of Asia, not a few, came as though he would take Jewry by armed forces, or forces of arms. And what's forces of arms? That's the military. And what does the military do? Make war. Who they making war against? The people of Israel, more specifically, those of us that's in this truth, who keep the commandments and got the testimony. And why is that? Well, first Maccabees, we're going to hit chapter 3, verse 21. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us. Psalms 83, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So they coming against us to destroy us. They already destroyed us mentally by that crafty counsel to keep this information hidden from us. Well, that failed. The truth is all out. So they last effort, they're going to have to come and physically cut us off by force, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. So again, first Maccabees 3 and 20, they come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us. That's already been happening spiritually, mentally. But they're going to come with their armed forces to physically make war with us, to destroy us, our wives, and our children, and spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws. So yeah, that's what the book of the Maccabees was about, was the remnant of Israel who kept the commandments and fought for their lives and their laws. And we continuing that battle today. But right now it's a spiritual battle. But they gonna come full forces against us very soon here. Wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our faces. And as for you, be ye not afraid of them. So we can't be afraid of this great multitude, again, that's being gathered. It ain't just the U.S. military. Look at all these foreigners, these warlords, these international gang leaders that's coming over here. They being gathered to come up against us. But guess what? That great multitude ain't just people. It ain't just humans. That great multitude today includes mechanical dogs with flamethrowers, grenade launchers, AR-15s, automatic weapons mounted to the top of these mechanical dogs, killer drones. That killer drones that's equipped with automatic weapons, flamethrowers, can shoot grenades, Tesla bots, killer robots, chemical warfare. So that's the great multitude today. It ain't just people. It's also Esau's robotics and its technology. So yeah, we fight for our lives and for our laws, and that's the reason that they're going to come against the people of Israel. All right. So, but more specifically, those of us who got the laws and the testimony. So we're gonna hit Second Maccabees 12:27. After he had put to flight and destroyed them, Judas removed the host toward Ephraim, a strong city, wherein Lysias abode, and a great multitude of diverse nations. So yeah, that's a great multitude. Foreign forces of the heathen. These diverse nations, but also Esau's robotics and technology, smart weapons, mechanical dogs, Tesla bots, killer drones. And the strong young man kept the walls and defended them mightily. Merin also was great provision of engines and darts. But when Judas and his company had called upon Almighty God, who with his power breaketh the strength of his enemies, they won the city and slew 25,000 of them that were within. So when you look at the generations of old, our people who feared the Lord, called on his name. They wasn't despised, they wasn't forsaken, they wasn't confounded, but they always prevailed. And let's see. Going back up real quick. For the victory of the battle standeth not in the multitude of a host, but strength cometh from heaven. So what? We're gonna appear to be outnumbered. You know how Esau gonna come at us and surround us. People from all over the earth making their way to America to take on the very few of us that got this information. But what it say? Victory of the battle standeth not in the multitude. So it's a saying in the world, there's strength in numbers. That's the case of the things of the world. But when you come up against the Most High, you by coming up against his people, there's no strength in numbers. It don't matter the number, the multitude of the hosts are going to be overcome. Because strength cometh from heaven and not from numbers. And what did I believe it was either Elisha or Elijah tell his servant that there's more that be with us than they that be with them. And that's why when we go back to Second Maccabees chapter 10, when we come down to verse 29. But when the battle waxed strong, when the battle became difficult, there appeared unto the enemies from heaven 5 comely men upon horses with girdles of gold, and 2 of them led the Jews. So when the battle got difficult, the angels appeared. So that's why Elisha told his male servant, there's more that be with us than they that be with them. So even if we do appear to be surrounded and outnumbered, we got the armies of heaven on our side. But we're going to go back to the book of Psalms 83, because remember, we talking about the great multitude, the forces of arms of these diverse nations of the heathen. So this is Psalms 83, that we've been mentioning. For lo, dying enemies, the great multitude. the armed forces of the diverse nations, the heathen, the foreign forces make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They've always taken crafty counsel against the people, back then as well as now. It's just now that crafty counsel is they not directly attacking us, but they indirectly attack us through their laws, legislation, policies, discrimination, etc. And consulted against thy hidden ones that have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembrance. They tried to cut off from our memory our history and who we are. That failed. Now they got to come cut us off by force. That's why the devil going to come down with great wrath. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So yeah, they all in agreement with coming up against the people of Israel. And let's see, the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites, the Moab, and the Hagarenes, Jabal, Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, etc. So that's this great multitude is in Psalms 83. The foreign forces, the diverse nations, the heathen, along with the wicked of our people, that's going to be joined unto Esau. And why did we showing, who this great multitude is? Well, we in the days, that they about to come after us again to cut us off for keeping the commandments and having his testimony. Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. Who is that enemy? Well, that's the devil coming down with great wrath. That's the great multitude coming with that burning wrath. The forces of arms of the heathen, the diverse nations. They're going to come in like a flood. The Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. And so that's how Judas and the Maccabean brothers and those at that time, as well as elsewhere in the scriptures, that's how they prevailed. When they fought for their lives and for their laws, a standard was raised for them against the enemy. They fought to keep the law. They fought to keep the ways of the Lord. So the Lord was the enemy unto their enemies. Well, we in the days that the greatest standard ever lifted is about to be lifted against our enemies. So we about to receive more help from heaven than we ever received before. Why? Because the enemy is going to come to us worse than they ever came against us before. Because remember, this is a time of trouble such as never was. Go hit Psalms 124. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, who lifted a standard against our enemy, now Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, the heathen nations, the foreign forces, then they had swallowed us up quickly when their wrath was kindled against us. Remember 2 Ezra 16:68, the burning wrath of a great multitude. Well, so again, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. So what does it mean when it say that the waters would have overwhelmed us? The stream, the proud waters would have gone over our soul. Or the stream and the proud waters, well, what? That's the enemy coming in like a flood. The enemy shall come in like a flood. That's the proud waters. That's the stream. That's the waters. The enemy, the foreign forces of the heathen, the great multitude coming to overwhelm us. Blessed be the Lord who have not given us as a prey to their teeth. The teeth represent the military. So yeah, the Lord is going to raise up a standard for us to overcome our enemies, to escape, to overcome, to be preserved. And last precept here, the reason we read these different accounts in the book of Maccabees is showing in summary what the Lord gonna do for us again is to what? This is Second Maccabees chapter 15 verse 8. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them. Well, guess what? This great multitude, the foreign forces of the heathen, these diverse nations, along with their mechanical dogs, killer drones, Tesla bots, iRobots, AI weaponry, smart weapons, they about to come up against us again. But what? We encourage our people not to fear, but to remember the help which in former times we have received from heaven. So remember the miracles that the Lord performed before. He about to perform them same, but even greater miracles than he did in the past. And what? And now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto us from the Almighty. So Lord willing, we are those people who's going to get this aid, get this help from heaven, that we may get the victory. So yeah, the great multitude, the foreign forces of the heathen, they all about to go down. And our people just comfortable living amongst these people. You out and you see Arabs, East Indians, Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, Canaanites, Hamites, all over the place. Or they about to be commanded to come up against us. And the true believers, we greatly outnumbered. But what? Victory don't lie in numbers. Strength don't lie in numbers. Strength come from heaven. And what? It be more that be with us than they that be with them. But hey, that's it for this lesson here. Till next time. Shalom.